Hello and welcome back. Crosstown Gamer here, and today we are going to continue our playthrough of A Distant Plane, number 3 in the coin series. And if you've been following along with us, you'll know that we are playing as the coalition pieces, which are this kind of mustardy burnt popcorn color, and we are playing against the bot factions for the remaining 3 factions, simulated by some flowcharts over here. We're about a third of the way through the deck, I would say, and we've hit 1 propaganda card so far. It was a ways back, so anything could happen. And 3 factions are eligible, so let's go ahead and get started here. So the US-Pakistan talks is the next card on the docket, and we can see that we are up first as the coalition pieces. So what's this event do? Shift Islamabad 2 boxes toward hostility. Or 2 boxes towards sponsorship if you want to take the shaded portion of the event, which would not benefit us. Currently, the Islamabad track is at sponsorship already, and it's even hard. And so when it's in this state, non-player Taliban are eligible after taking events. So since they're second on this, they could, if we didn't take the event, they could take the event and then remain eligible even after, doing what the card says. That's been a huge boon to them, I think. So we're gonna want to potentially stop that. Now, this event in particular wouldn't actually be effective because it's already at sponsorship. So they wouldn't take the event in that case, and they would not be eligible on the next card. However, it's worth noting that I think it's going to be helpful to make it so that this is no longer even a possibility for them. In other coin games, when you have this kind of flipped marker on a track, usually that means, you get to the end of the track and then you need to adjust it 1 more level, so you'd flip it over. And then in order to start adjusting it back the other direction, you'd flip it over and then start shifting. So like the Senate in Falling Sky is kind of like that, where you can flip it to firm and then you would need to like unflip it to be able to move it again. That's not the case with the Islamabad track in this game. There's a note in the rules that talks about how this marker, even if it's on hard, it shifts and moves normally. The only difference is like during the reset phase after a propaganda card. If it's hard, it'll flip over. And otherwise, it will move 1 toward backing. So if it was way over here, and we're in the reset phase, normally this thing would adjust, so reset, and you'd move it a little closer toward backing. Or if it was here, you would move it one toward backing. But if it's hard, instead of moving it, you would flip it over, and that's all the movement that happens during that part. So, shifting this 2 boxes to the left for our event, which is what we're going to do, boom, boom, we shift it normally, and now it's awesome because in a backing state, the Taliban get a benefit from that, and definitely in a sponsorship they get a benefit. With tolerance, it's no effect, and we've protected ourselves further because even in the reset phase, this isn't going to move toward backing, it's going to just flip over and not be hard anymore. So if we can keep it on this side of the spectrum, then this is actually really good for us. So anyway, that was the event. Pretty easy. And then the Taliban player is going to go and they're going to do a operation and special activity. So let's look at their menu here, or their AI flowchart. They can't do the event, but looking at the next card just to see if they'd want to pass. They do not want to pass because it's not a momentum or capability. So they're going to continue right along. Terror would shift 3+, oppose and support combined. Let's take a look at that. Now, the terror... Oh, good, it's right here. The terror requirement is that it needs to be a space with underground Taliban guerrillas, and thankfully most of them are above ground or active right now. They could potentially do it on like a line of communication here, but that's not shifting support or opposition, which is what the diamond wants. that is going to be like sabotaging lines of communication. So they don't want to do that. They have in Afghanistan, not counting Pakistan, because those don't have support or opposition spaces. There's no support or opposition because it's a different country. So excluding those, they actually only have 3 locations on the map that have underground guerrillas, and that's right here, right here, and right here. So there's 3 spaces, and it says 3 plus. I did just check in the rules though, and it's not 3 plus locations, it's 3 plus points. So population. And these 2 over here are 0. And this one's normally a 2, but it's a 3 right now anyway. So if they did a terror op here, they could do that, and it would shift 3 points worth of support away. It would become neutral. So I think they do. That is a yes. Yes. So without exposing the last underground guerrilla. Oh, right. They can't expose the last one. And so it's a terror would do this. And since they only have 1 guerrilla there, they're actually not going to do this terror up because they'd be exposing their last underground guerrilla. Oh, no. That's only at Taliban bases. Sorry about that. It gets a little confusing. You really have to read every single word. So without exposing the last underground guerrilla at a Taliban base, then do the terror op. There's no Taliban base there, so they are free to expose their last remaining guerrilla. They're going to do it at support, and it's going to be 3 plus. So just the 1 location. And yeah, though, I don't know. It just says do it at support and then do it at neutral. I'm wondering if are they going to bother to do it over here? It's a 0 population zone. It's not giving them any more points. It's just costing resources for them. I don't think they're going to do it. The rules probably are a little more clear on that, so maybe I'll look it up really quick. One sec. The rules are equally unhelpful. I get what they're going for. They're just going to do this at places where it would have an influence on the number of population because that's how they get their points. But there's no like gotchas in here that say, well, don't do this unless it would give you points, or like don't do it at 0 population zones. So because it doesn't say not to do it, I imagine, even though the intention might be only do it at 0 population zones, if you know this offhand in the rules, I don't want to go on Board Game Geek necessarily and look this up or ask. But if you have a different interpretation of this, please feel free to list it out in the comments. I'm happy to hear about it. But I'm just going to go line by line down the priorities. And at support, they're able to do it, and so they're definitely going to do it here. And then at neutral, and it says to prioritize the highest populations first. Well, we've prioritized it, and they're able to do it in as many places as they want. So I imagine they're also going to do it here and here, because possibly that has some effect on whether the warlords can do certain operations. Anyway, let's. Activate 1 underground guerrilla if a province, add a terror marker and shift 1 level toward opposition or neutral. And we are not we're not doing terror ops on lines of communications. It doesn't say to do that, so I'm not going to do that. Okay, so we are going to flip this up. We're going to add a terror marker. We're going to remove this support. So our points go down 1, 2, 3, which is a huge bummer. And this goes away. Support. And terror marker. Oh man, I've been putting things away in the wrong spot. That's no good. So this is just going to be there. And then similarly, I'm going to do this and this. We're going to put down some opposition. We are going to add some terror. Okay. And that costs 1 resource per location. So 1, oh, come on. 2, 3. And they didn't need to extort because it'll you can pause the operation and extort in the middle. And then here they're going to extort everywhere without exposing the last Taliban and a non-exposed. Everywhere is exposed though, so I don't think they're going to be able to do an extort at all. So if no such extort, no special activity. So they're not going to do the special activity after all. All right, so we'll adjust our eligibility here. And now we don't have to worry about the Taliban being eligible all the time. So I count that as a win. And we're going to play Dostum. And SEAL Team 6 is going to be up next. Oh, good. And we're first on that card and we'll be eligible. So maybe it'll be something good. Okay, so the warlords are going to go up. And this has the flavor text explicitly talks about the warlords. So this is probably a good event for them. Let's check to see if they will do the event via the flowchart. Current card's not momentum. Current or next card is not capability. So they're going to play the unshaded if it's going to increase uncontrolled population or warlord resources. Place warlord guerrillas on locks or warlord bases. Okay. So 2 support and 2 opposition in non-Pashtun spaces to neutral. Replace 3 government or 3 warlord pieces in non-Pashtun spaces with any pieces of the other. So I imagine they're going to try to replace 3 government pieces with warlord pieces. And I don't know if there are any non-Pashtun spaces that are... I guess there are. Let's look and see if there's any special rules about this event. It is number 68 in the corner there. So Dostum, Coalition, Taliban choose operation and special activities. So we just know that the warlords are going to choose the event. So they'll do the event. So 2 support and 2 opposition non-Pashtun spaces to neutral. This isn't a may or anything. This is like, that's going to happen if possible to the fullest extent. So let's look for such spaces. This is Pashtun, this is Pashtun, this is Pashtun. This is Kabul considered Pashtun? I have no idea. Yeah, it is. I can see a little hint of green underneath there. Jeez. It's a packed space. I should use the overflow box. In fact, I think everywhere on the map that has support or opposition at all is a Pashtun space. So that part's ineffective. However, they're going to replace 3 government or warlord pieces in non-Pashtun spaces with any pieces of the other. And I think they want to do this to mitigate as much control as possible, if they can. So, for example, if they did it here, they could replace these 3 government pieces with 3 warlord pieces, and suddenly the coalition is not enough to retain control for coin, so that would go to uncontrolled. So that's a 3 population spot that would be effective. The other 3 population spot, because I don't think it would matter here in Kabul. Oh, that's a Pashtun space. Whoa, that was close. Okay, so this is a 3 population non-Pashtun space where they would be able to eliminate 3, and Then there would be 5, 6 to 7. So 5 plus the base plus that is 7 against 5. So it would still have control. Increase uncontrolled population or warlord. Yeah. In fact, maybe over here. 3 away. Nope, that's still going to be controlled by coin. So because this isn't going to eliminate control, then we're in this part of the thing. It's only going to play the shaded part or the event if it's going to increase uncontrolled population or warlord resources, or place warlord guerrillas on locks, or place warlord bases. And I don't see anywhere where it would be able to do any of those things. So they're not going to do the event after all. Okay. Well, yeah. Like, they could take the event, it just wouldn't have really any effect that they want or outcome that they want. So, and it's all because it has to be in a non-Pashtun space. And this whole like region of the board where everyone is Pashtun. So, would Rally replace guerrillas with a base? Maybe. I don't think so. They don't really have a high concentration of maybe here. Yeah, right there. So yes, I think so. Let's look at their flowchart or their menu. So replace 2 with a warlord base, and remember they never want to remove their last one. And I believe when they're placing these, it's like do the active ones first. Because it doesn't say, yeah, it just says warlord guerrilla. It doesn't have to be underground. So, Rally. At 3+ warlord guerrillas, if no space for a base, Suborn against a government base, and then Rally by placing a base there. Otherwise, replace 2 guerrillas with a base. So there's only one location that has 3+ guerrillas. It's here. They're going to replace 2 guerrillas with one of their remaining bases. Okay. And now they have 11 bases on the map, which is a gargantuan number. And then at the highest 1+ pop with a warlord base and room for a base. Any such places? No. There's a bunch of bases on there, but they're all full, capped out. The only location that has room for a base and a warlord base is there, but it specifies 1+ population, and that's a 0+ population. Where there are warlord bases but no other warlords, I don't think this is a factor either, because all their bases are covered. At warlord bases, at the highest population, they're going to rally to get what is it? If base and not Pashtun, you may place guerrillas up to population plus bases, or flip all warlord guerrillas that are underground. So non-Pashtun, like here's a warlord base, non-Pashtun, high population. Same with here. So those 2 locations, I would think, or potentially down here as well. Yeah. They always want to prioritize the highest population, so it'd be in Kabul first. But Kabul's a Pashtun space, so I don't think they actually get to place guerrillas. Oh, sorry, you can't even read that. If base and not Pashtun instead may place guerrillas up to population plus bases, or flip all guerrillas underground. So they can't do that. there's a star. Place guerrillas until none are available, and then flip guerrillas underground where none. What to do? What to do? This is another situation where I'm not 100% sure. I would love some comments on what you would think I would do here. I can't place like 5 guerrillas here because it's not 4 plus 1 because this is Pashtun space. I think I would only get to place 1 guerrilla. In fact, I'm sure that's how it works because I place 1 warlord guerrilla. If it's base and not Pashtun, blah, blah, blah. I just don't know if this chart... Let me look in the rules for bullet 4 here to see if it wants to only do it at warlord bases that are not Pashtun or not. One sec. Okay, so the rules are actually really unclear. So they've got like these, double star, double star. Great. That's helpful. Then you go down here and it says rally, single star. There's no note in here for like single star at all. Like where's the note? There's note, but there's no single star. Rally placing guerrillas until none are available. Thereafter, flip guerrillas underground. I assume that must be a typo, and this is where the note is for the rally, because the one where we are is rally at warlord bases, star. I assume this is the single star, because that lines up at least somewhat here with the single star on this procedure map here. So it just says rally at warlord bases. Doesn't matter if it's Pashtun or not. So they're just going to place one there. After all that, that's my interpretation of it. And again, if you have a different one, please let me know. So they are actually going to be doing not the event. So highest population spot is there. They get to place 1 because it's Pashtun. And it goes there. And then they are going to find the next highest population zone, and they want to do it in such a way that there's a random chance of each one. But if it would like help them by, actually, I don't know. I think it's just totally random because the only priority there was at highest population. So they can do it in 3 spots. So they did it in Kabul, and they can do it in 2 other spots. Because I don't think they didn't do... Oh, no, they already did. They placed the base, too. So this is the last spot. So it's got to be one of those. And technically they would get more mileage out of this one, but there's only 1 warlord available anyway, so they're not... they're just going to keep going. We have to choose a spot, basically, one of those 2 spots to place that last warlord guerrilla. So we'll roll a die, and on a 1, 2, or 3, we're going to do this top one, Kunduz, and on a 4, 5, and 6, we're going to do Baglan. 5. So they will place here. Boom. And now they have all their units on the board. And that was their 3 locations. So they can do it in a maximum of 3 spots. And they did that. So it costs 3 resources for them. Whoops. 1, 2, 3. I believe. Yes, 1 resource per space selected. Okay, that was their operation. Then they will cultivate in a maximum of 1 spot where 1 plus pop, warlord guerrillas outnumber police, and it was selected for a rally or a march. So the locations where this is possible are going to be in Nuristan there, because we rallied there. We rallied in Kabul, and we rallied up here in Baglan. So it needs to be 1 plus pop. Warlord guerrillas outnumber the police. So here it's 1 to 1, so that's a no-go. This is 2 to 3, so So that's a no-go. And then up here it's 2 to 1. So we can do it there. And it was selected for a rally. So we get to do it right there. If it's the last campaign, skip the traffic. No. Where there's a warlord base already, yes, it has a warlord base. Where there's no warlord base, and then yeah, I mean, we already know there's just this is like just trying to decide. We're narrowing our options down to one location, and we've done that already. We've narrowed it to the one spot. So place one warlord base there. Oh, well, there's no room for a base. So yeah, we can't do that. But we can rally in one more space and then cultivate there. And we're going to do it at the highest population. I don't know. I mean, I don't get it. It needs to be 1+ population. I don't think there's any spots for that. Everywhere where there are guerrillas, it's full on bases, or it's 0 population. So we can't select another location for rally and then cultivate. So no such cultivate. We're going to traffic instead. And what is traffic? We haven't done traffic. So we're just going to gain immediate resources. Spaces with warlord base and no coalition. We're going to add 1 resource per warlord base. If it's Taliban controlled, the Taliban also get a resource. If it's coin controlled, we get +1 patronage for the government. Okay, so warlord base and no coalition. And we want to do this at uncontrolled warlord base spaces. Like Balk is a great example of one. That's a 2 population. Is there anyone that's hired? This is uncontrolled, but there's coalition there. No, that's the spot. Balk. And they can do this anywhere they want. I mean, as many times as they want. So anyway, we're going to do it here. Do you remove the base? How does it work? Nope, just add 1 resource per warlord base. So we did it in bulk. They get 2 resources. Boom, boom. Remember, they're trying to get rich, so they want to do this a lot. So then, yeah, I think that's the only uncontrolled warlord base space. No, second thought, there's also one here. So we get an extra resource, or they get an extra resource for Farah. Now they're going to go to all warlord bases, but award player no resources or patronage. So they're okay adding it for non-players. So, for example, if there's a Taliban-controlled space, which there isn't, then they're fine adding resources to the Taliban player. If there's government-controlled space or coin-controlled space, they are fine adding the patronage. However, they can go here too. So that's two resources. That's coin controlled, but there's a coalition piece. No other bases. I think we've gone everywhere. We did it there, we did it there, and we did it there. And those are the only spots that don't have coalition pieces. So I think we've done it in all the locations possible. And that was traffic. Whew, that was a lengthy one. I'm sorry for that. And now we will either do the event because they are the flowchart, the bots, instead of doing a lim op, they can do a full turn. And so now the government, if we remember the special instructions for this event, the government will choose to do this event if it's effective as well. And so, I need to look at their flowchart real quick. And so they're going to play the event if it will shift patronage, government resources, aid, or coin control up, place government pieces to afford, if it places government pieces or affords government free ops in SA, or if it shifts Islamabad only if player. So if it places government pieces, which it does, they're going to do the event. And it might add coin control too. So I think they're going to try to maximize the amount of coin control they do. 2 support, 2 opposition in non-Pashtun spaces. I think we already went over this. There isn't any such locations that have that. However, in any non-Pashtun spaces with any warlord pieces, oh my god, I didn't realize it's pieces too. So it's gonna, oh my gosh, I do not want to roll back that entire turn. I am sorry. You probably caught this a lot earlier than I did. It's pieces, it's not guerrillas, so bases count, and if it would place bases, they would have done the event. Son of a bitch. Okay, because I'm looking at right here. They could have replaced this piece and 2 other pieces with analogs for their own pieces. Oh man, that's so frustrating. I don't think I could possibly roll back that entire turn, because I don't remember. I know there wasn't a base there. There were 3 guerrillas. We just have to move on. I'm really sorry about that. I at least caught the mistake in the same video that I made it, but that's unfortunate. Okay. So, any location is going to, yeah, they're gonna, man, that would have changed so much. Okay, I thought long and hard about it, and I'm not going to roll it back. We got to see an interesting scenario on the board, and even though the government player is probably the closest to winning, and this benefits them the most, whatever. So they're going to play this event regardless. They want to pick spaces that basically maximize the amount of pieces that they can remove, maximize the amount of bases that they can add, and so on. And in the rules, it even says remove pieces even if you don't have pieces to replace them with. But here it says replace pieces with any pieces of the other. So I could replace a base with a cube, or I could replace a gorilla with a base, and that kind of thing. It also says never place 2 bases in a single location. So like, for example, up here, we couldn't remove this base and then place another government base. There aren't any government bases anyway, but just something to keep in mind. So, yeah, in fact, let's just take a quick gander at where. I just want to make sure all the who, what, when, where, whys are taken into consideration. So, select event spaces to ensure that as many pieces as possible are placed, removed, or replaced using the guidelines 8.2.1 above. 8.2.1 is over here. Target enemy players before non-players and resources whenever possible. Not applicable here. Within the above, target the player with the... Yeah, we know which player to target. Remove pieces to be replaced even if there are none available to replace them. Remove or replace enemy bases before other pieces. Remove or replace troops and police randomly. In reverse order from the above. Yeah, okay. Non-player insurgents, remove and replace pieces of coalition. Yeah, this makes sense. Never place 2 coin bases in a single spot. Place friendly bases before other pieces. Getting a phone call, but it's spam. Decline. Okay. And lastly, march so that as many blah, blah, blah. So if there's select a space or spaces in descending order of population size, highest to lowest. Oh, that's just the abbreviation at highest pop. So the who and wheres don't take population into account at all. But we need a space with at least 3 pieces of the warlords, and they want to replace as many bases as possible first. So candidate locations, and control doesn't matter. Candidate locations then are going to be this one, this one, this one, this one. Not necessarily this one or this one because it has fewer bases. Not this one because it has fewer bases. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 spots that I think are good candidates. And those are going to be randomly decided. So I am going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll re-roll on a 5 or a 6. 4. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be here. So they're going to remove 3 pieces of the warlords, and they're going to replace with as many its own bases as possible, which is 0, and then they're going to pull. They try to do 50%, troops and police. So this is like maximum payload down in here. And now this spot has coin control, so we'll put a coin control marker. And the uncontrolled population went down by 2, and the coin control population went up by 2. So, whoops. 1, 2. 1, 2. Well, it saddens me that I think I played that completely wrong, but that's the way the game works. You can't play 100% accurately, or it's really hard to do. Okay, we've reset our eligibility. The next card that's going to come up is going to be SEAL Team 6. We can do some damage to the Taliban, and if we don't, then they're going to be able to get right back to where they were. So that's going to be a tough sell. We might want to do just an operation only to prevent them from taking the event. We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And then local understanding is going to be the one after that. And I think that's going to be it, though, for this episode. We're at 38 minutes, so hopefully, despite my mistake, or possibly multiple mistakes, this was still enjoyable and helpful, and I look forward to bringing you more content going forward. We're going to get through this thing eventually, but as always, this has been A Distant Plane, and see you next time.